Terry Bradshaw was the first selection in the 1970 NFL Draft. He became a Hall of Famer, but his pro career didn't start out well at all. More on that later. This video is primarily about the offensive players who were selected in this draft and how weak of a draft it was. Bradshaw led the nation in total offense as a junior in 1968 and led Louisiana Tech to their first two bowl appearances in 1968 and 1969 as Tech won 17 games and lost 4 in those seasons. This video will highlight the best starting offensive lineup from the 1970 draft. At quarterback is Terry Bradshaw. No other quarterback selected is even close. However, Bradshaw had an awful rookie season as he only threw 6 touchdowns against 24 interceptions, which led the league. He was sacked once out of every 10 dropbacks, only completed 38.1% of his passes, and his average yards per attempt was an abysmal 2.1. Out of the 31 quarterbacks who qualified for the NFL passer rating category, he finished last. While there were some very good players selected, Terry Bradshaw was the only offensive player to be named as a Hall of Famer. On defense, only cornerback Mel Blount was. He attended the same high school as Buffalo Bills quarterback Joe Ferguson. Best of the rest are Mike Phipps from Purdue, where he was second in the 1969 Heisman Trophy vote. He played 12 years in the NFL. Dennis Shaw was the 1970 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. He lost his starting job to Joe Ferguson in 1973, and that was basically it for him. Steve Ramsey put up huge numbers at North Texas State University, but not in the pros. He was traded by the Broncos to the Giants for quarterback Craig Morton, but couldn't make the Giants roster despite them going with 3 rookie quarterbacks instead. Colts liked big, bruising fullbacks. So in the mold of Alan the Horse Amici and Tom Matte, they selected Norm Bulash in the first round. With power running backs, sometimes you've got to continue to let them pound away at a defense in order to soften them up. The Saints selected Jim Otis in the 9th round despite rushing for almost 2,000 yards and 31 touchdowns at Ohio State during his junior and senior seasons. He played 9 years and tallied 4,899 total yards. Dwayne Thomas attended West Texas State University, and he could have been one of the all-time greats, but he was his own worst enemy. Steve Owens was the 1969 Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma and was the Lions' first running back to rush for 1,000 yards in a single season, 1971. Most fans remember wide receiver Ken Burrow as an Oiler, but he was drafted 10th overall by the Saints. Jets big play receivers Don Maynard and George Sauer were getting old by 1970, and quarterback Joe Namath needed another weapon. So the Jets drafted 6'5" Rich Castor to play tight end, although he also played 4 of his 13 NFL years at wide receiver. Here are some other notable tight ends drafted in 1970. Stu Voigt, Jim Mandich, and Rich McGeorge. In a deep and talented draft for centers, the best center is Rich Saul. Honorable mention goes to Tom Banks, Ken Mendenhall, and John Fitzgerald. I'm wearing Falcon center Jeff Van Note's jersey. He was drafted in 1969 and was a low 11th round selection, yet he played 18 years, started 226 games, and made 6 Pro Bowl teams. This 1970 draft was so bad that all the players in this starting lineup only totaled 3 All-Pro seasons. Our Doug Wilkerson had one of those 3 All-Pro seasons. He was drafted by the Oilers and traded to San Diego in December 1970. The other guard is Ron Saul, who was drafted in the 5th round. His brother Rich was drafted in the 8th round, while older brother Bill was drafted in the 1962 NFL draft by the Colts, although he's primarily known for playing with the Steelers. Bill was also drafted by the Bills in the 9th round of the 1962 AFL draft. The weakest position is tackle, where Bob Asher and Bob McKay were far and away the best of the lot. The Eagles needed a kicker for 1970 since 40-year-old Sam Baker had retired. They drafted Mark Mosley in the 14th round. After scoring 67 points in 1970, the Eagles released him. He went on to play 16 more years, made All-Pro in 1982, and was the NFL MVP that same year. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. As always, thank you for watching.